In this series, I share my favorite takeaways from reading parenting books so you don't have to. If you have kids and want to start teaching them a second language, or if you are intrigued to know whether it's worth teaching your child a second language and how to get there on a high level, this video is for you. For those of you who are new here, my name is Yanyi. I'm from China and I live in the US. My husband and I have a child who's going to be 2 in April. My native language is Chinese. My husband speaks American English. So bilingualism in our family means Chinese plus American English. I will go into the details about why I want my child to be bilingual in the next video, but for now, I want to touch on one key reason. So my side of the family lives in China and doesn't speak English, and I hope that by raising Elle to be bilingual, she can build a stronger connection with her grandparents and other relatives there. And speaking the same language also helps shape her identity because language is not only just a tool for communication, but it also carries culture. Knowing the language will give our child access to learning more about the culture more efficiently. The book I read this month is a handbook called How to Raise a Bilingual Child, published by Peach. The Peach Project is a multilingual educational initiative by the European Union, which aims at enhancing language learning and teaching across Europe. This book is free on their website as well as other resources, which I'm going to link down below. If you have doubts about the value bilingualism will bring to your child, this book highlights several key advantages. First, for the child, the benefits include personality benefits, cognitive benefits, and health benefits. Bilinguals tend to be more tolerant, better at taking different perspectives, and showing higher level of empathy. Bilingualism also strengthens other cognitive functions like creativity, multitasking, and working memory, which can benefit the child's school performances across various subjects. In terms of health benefit, several studies have shown that lifelong bilinguals experience symptoms of dementia an average of 5 years later than monolinguals. Bilingualism not only has benefits for your child, it also has benefits for others because bilingual children can serve as bridges between cultures and contribute to cross-cultural communication, as speaking different languages make it easier for them to understand and appreciate different cultures so that they can spread that knowledge to others as well. Aside from delving into the benefits of bilingualism, this book also debunked some common misconceptions. You might have heard concerns like learning 2 languages causes language delay. Bilingual children may know fewer words in a certain language than a monolingual. Science suggests that their overall vocabularies are comparable in size if you count them across the 2 languages. The second myth is being bilingual means being fully and equally fluent in 2 languages. But in reality, bilingualism really comes in all shapes and forms. Some people know both languages but can only speak one really well. Some people know more words in one language than the other. Very few people are perfectly fluent in both languages. Your child is bilingual as soon as your child starts to use 2 or more languages in their daily lives. So we should really celebrate our child's bilingualism and take pride in what we've achieved and the invaluable gift we can give to our child as someone who can speak a second or even third, fourth language. Myth number 3 is children will automatically pick up the languages their parents speak. Certainly, regular and varied exposure to a second language is helpful. In reality, the book says that language learning is a complex process influenced by many factors. The key to truly learning a language is active practice and meaningful real-life interactions. Simply passively hearing a language isn't enough for the child to be a speaker. And the fourth myth is mixing language. For example, use both languages in one sentence or utterance is bad for a child's language development. Some people see children's language mixing as a sign that they're confused, but actually it's completely normal and a natural part of language development. Research shows that bilingual children develop their languages separately. As their vocabularies grow in both languages, this mixing will naturally decrease over time. Now that we learned that raising a bilingual child doesn't just happen automatically, this book lays out a clear step-by-step approach to form a plan for raising a bilingual child, and I'm excited to break it down for you. Step 1, define your goals. Start by evaluating your resources and environment. Think about how many languages are spoken in your family, who speak them, how much time they can spend with your child. Grandparents, friends, and even relatives can all be great resources for language exposure. So consider all the situations where your child will hear or use the language, and like play days, visits to grandparents, or community events. And then set realistic expectations of your child's language skill level. So decide how many languages you want your child to learn and what level you hope they will achieve in each one of them. Ask yourself, what do I want my child to be able to do in each language? Will they need to speak, read, and write in it? For example, with Elle, my initial goal for the early years of her life is just to be able to understand and speak some Chinese. Later, we will focus more on reading and writing, but they will not be my main focus for a long time. Every family situation is different, so set a goal that makes sense for your family's situation and your child's age and development. Step 2, choose a strategy. So once you've defined your goals, it's time to decide how you will introduce and maintain each language at home. Here are some of the most common strategies parents use as introduced in the book. The first strategy is one parent, one language. OPOL. So with this approach, each parent or caregiver speaks a language with the child. So each person selects the language they're comfortable with and talks only that language with their child in a one-on-one situation. For example, I try to really restrict the use of English when I talk to Elle in a one-on-one situation, and my husband only speaks to her in American English. Some families can also choose a family language for group conversations. In our case, it's English, which helps create some consistency. And some other parents start with OPOL and later transition into 2P2L, two parents, two languages, where both parents speak more than one languages with the child, but designate when and how they use each one. So this is a more complex setup that it's more fit for a multilingual family. The second strategy is minority language at home. So with this strategy, both parents speak the same minority language at home and really limit their use of the majority language. There's a clear separation of home language and school language. And research has shown that this method to be the most effective in maintaining the minority language. There's actually a 2007 study in Belgium that looked at nearly 2,000 families and found that children were more likely to become bilingual when both parents spoke the minority language at home and really restrict their use of the majority language. And the success rate is almost 97%. So I'm going to put a picture up on the screen now that will show you how the different family language setup or strategies compared based on that study. And the third common strategy is called time and place. It is great for families with more than two languages as well. So this strategy doesn't really apply to us, but if your family juggles multiple languages and if you want your child to learn them, this time and place method is really worth considering. So with this approach, you assign specific times and locations for each language. For example, when time is the deciding factor, you might speak one language during the day and another in the evening. You may split the languages between weekdays and weekend. You may speak different languages during mealtime, reading time, or playtime. When place is a deciding factor, you might, for example, use one language at home and another outside. You might dedicate certain rooms at your home to different languages. So the key is to avoid constantly switching languages. You want to define moments where you would rather stick to a certain language you speak with your baby and try to be consistent. And step 3 is get on the same page as a family. So once you've chosen your strategy, discuss it with your partner to ensure you are both on board. And then step 4 is maximize language exposure. So this is under the assumption that you are the main source of minority language and you are fluent in the target language. If you are not as fluent as you used to be, consider brushing up on your native language skills first. To reinforce the minority language learning at home, the more your child hears and uses a language, the stronger their language skills will be in the long run. So stay tuned for the next video on the topic of how to maximize language exposure in the first few years of your child's life to make sure it is engaging and motivating for your child to learn and use the target language in their daily lives. The optional step the book also mentioned would be regularly reassess your approach and make adjustments if needed. When life changes, you may move to a different city or even different country. Sometimes family dynamics can change and that will impact language exposure as well. You can mostly scale up your effort or scale down your expectations. Ask yourself, is my child still getting enough exposure to the minority language in a new situation? Do I need to tweak our strategy to fit our current situation? And make adjustments as needed. Your child's bilingual or multilingual journey really can start anywhere from before birth to no particular time later in their life. And the earlier, the better. So in the later chapters, the book also gives advice and activity ideas specifically for children at different age brackets to support their language development. It's broken down by ages like before birth, 0 to 18 months, 18 to 24 months, 2 to 4 years, 4 to 6, 6 to 9, and 9 to 12 years. If you have time and want to check out these chapters in the book that I haven't covered, I've linked the book in the description box below. If there are other parenting books you'd like me to read and share key takeaways from, let me know in the comments below. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you then.